We're back with Bobby and JJ Radio. We're going to be speaking with Shawn Collard. Shawn is a general contractor, and he owns Shawn Collard Construction. You can see him and all of his design at shawncollardconstruction.com. The cool thing about Shawn is he has a 70% self-performance type of business, and this is very different with general contractors. A lot of general contractors just drop dudes off, and then they take off and they come back. That's not how Shawn runs his business. He has 6 full-time people and some half-timers. He's been doing this 8 years by himself, but he's been in construction his whole life. He's from my hometown, El Paso, Texas. Somehow we went through Lubbock, Dallas, Austin, and then we found him back here in San Antonio. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about your business, man. How everything you can tell me about your business here in San Antonio in the metro area.
Well, so being a general contractor sort of it means different things to different parts of construction, but for the average home buyer or homeowner, it basically means that you hire one person to take care of the entire process.
Right.
I would even call them like windshield builders is one term we use. My uncle actually is a custom home builder in El Paso.
Right.
Doesn't know how to swing a hammer, doesn't know how to nail a nail.
That's awesome.
He drives by, looks out his window. He does a great job, but he's not a hands-on kind of a builder.
His guys do a great job.
His guys do a great job, and he knows sort of what the end product is supposed to look like.
Sure.
I've sort of come up through the trades doing a little bit of everything myself, so I kind of know, what has to be done and how it has to be done to make it look right. So, I have a crew of guys that are basically masters of a few specific trades, but can do pretty much everything.
Right.
And so, we handle pretty much everything from beginning to end.
Well, I thought the cool thing about Shawn was that he answers his phone. Normally, somebody asks us for a recommendation. We give them 3 numbers because one of them is going to show up.
Well, we give 3 numbers because it's legally obligated. We're legally obligated to give 3 numbers as a licensed real estate agent. I don't know if you guys knew that, but we're always like, but Shawn will answer. Yeah. Shawn will actually answer.
Well, I appreciate you saying that because I do really try to do that. And, there's so many contractors in town. There's a lot of good contractors, but that has got to be one of the primary complaints I hear is,
absolutely.
The guy doesn't ever answer his phone. He doesn't show up when he says he's going to show up, and then he doesn't even call to say, I'm not going to show up at a certain time.
Absolutely.
How about the guy that doesn't even show up for the quote? That's mostly what we see.
That's the worst part. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So I really try to be as communicative as possible with my clients.
Another thing that you did or you've done for us is the way that you break down what you've done. There's a lot of bids that you just say like, oh, we did 19 things and it cost this much, and then we did another 20 things and it cost this much. Shawn, it looks like an Excel spreadsheet. Like it looks like a P&L of a company, and he says this is hanging this door was this much, I painted this and it was this much, and I like that. It made me feel comfortable with my clients because there was no money on the table. You weren't because as a consumer we don't know. I mean, I don't know how much you're charging me to do this and that, but with Shawn you definitely know because it's black and white.
Well, and so many homeowners will look at a project and they don't really know how much things are going to cost, and they have a sort of set budget, but they have no idea if they're going to be able to accomplish everything within that number.
Sure.
And so they may say, well, I want to paint the whole house, but maybe we can only afford to paint the bathrooms.
Right.
I'll break it down by, wall by wall if I have to make it to where it's almost a menu item. You could say yes to this or no to that. I just think it's very transparent and very sort of upfront, and it basically serves as the contract as we, if it goes past the bid phase and they decide to retain me, it's clear from the very beginning what I'm going to be doing and how much it's going to cost.
I got you. And I know you touched base on it a little bit, but talk about what's the difference between like a general and a regular. I know you said that a general.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of contractors will specialize in one thing. There's, painters, and basically all they do is painting.
Sure.
Tile guys, they do tile. There's flooring companies, and they'll do,
Just
carpet or wood, but basically just flooring.
Right.
So
you're saying I shouldn't have my painter do roofing?
Okay. You wouldn't be alone in that. I've seen, you wouldn't believe some of the things, but yes, that is exactly the case.
But that does happen a lot where someone will come over for a bid, and they'll begin a bid for my client, and I'll say, hey, this guy paints, and then the painter will be there, and they'll overhear the seller or the buyer say, well, we gotta get that, flooring done. He's like, oh, I do. Like all of a sudden, he's
exactly right.
He's a flooring.
He has a different business card for that. Too.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
He just scratches out paint.
Well, and I'll give you a perfect example here. A common upgrade to a lot of houses is to put in new countertops, granite or quartz or whatever it may be.
Sure.
So they'll go to a granite person, and the granite person will say, yes, we can demo the old countertops. We'll put on the new countertops. Well, then what about the backsplash? Does this guy do tile? Well, no, we don't do tile. Well, who's going to hook up the sink? No, we don't do the sink. Well, we have a hole there. You can put the sink in. But, there's so many different professional people that need to touch that countertop in order to make it, get back to working order.
And someone, I think the most important about your job is someone has to not only oversee all of them, but it's the timing of it, right?
Yeah, it's another big complaint I hear is the timelines are never adhered to. They'll say, oh yeah, we can get it done in 3 or 4 days, and 3 or 4 weeks later they're back. And sometimes and myself included, we're very busy. The good guys are always very busy,
right?
And even some of the bad guys are very busy. So right now the market is such that even the bad guys are staying busy. But it is a skill I think that better contractors have developed in order to keep everything working, in unison in the right order of sequence,
exactly,
and on time.
So let's talk a little bit about you're like a design build company. It's not just then just a general contractor. You're more of a design build.
Well, right? I am, and let me clarify that because I don't want to step on the toes of my friends Debbie and Julie. They are professional designers.
Absolutely.
Capital D.
Yeah.
My company.
You're lowercase d.
I'm lowercase d, exactly. My mother's an interior designer in El Paso. Awesome. She's not going to be competing with Debbie or Julie here.
Sure.
So, I am aware of the distinction between the two. But there is a term that's been sort of I guess you could say a trending term in the last, say, 5 to 7 years where companies are referred to as design build. And it means different things. In different commercial, it means a different thing. But in residential and remodeling circles, it's sort of an extra service that a general contractor can provide. Either they do it themselves or they contract with another professional designer to sort of design the bathroom layout. If you're doing an entire kitchen gut, you need to understand. I mean, there's things called the triangle where the refrigerator and the stove and the dishwasher all line up in line.
Julie's just nodding her head like that.
Yeah, they're starting to get away from that a little bit more. But, you have to have somebody who sort of knows what they're doing. And a lot of clients, they may believe that they have a design sense, which is fantastic. They can pick colors and they know what they like and what goes well together. But it really takes someone who has studied it, who is more of a professional. That's all they do. And they focus on and they know and they have the experience needed. So, being a design build firm just means that I add an extra level of service.
Gotcha. So let's talk a little bit about that. What kind of trends are you seeing in kitchens and bathrooms?
Well, just to sort of reiterate what Debbie and Julie have already talked about, I think that the biggest, and I wouldn't even say it's a trend. I think it's more or less the way that style is developing and changing, and it started a few years ago. But I think that houses are really sort of going towards a more modern feel.
Sure.
You could see it in everything from every part of our culture. Modern used to be sort of a real defined segment. It was stark white cabinets and stark white, carpets and
look like a art museum.
Like an art museum, like Miami Vice, that's, bright, bold colors.
Tubs.
That has sort of been going away. And it's been softening to the term that we've used a lot today is transitional. And it's sort of marrying the two, finding a midpoint between traditional type homes and more modern. Exactly. But the modern is sort of bleeding into every aspect, I think. And whenever I go to do an update on a house, it is going towards more modern lines.
Real quick, before I wanted to touch base on this. So we were talking about this one house that you were doing out in Bernie.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about the meshing that people are doing right now.
Well, this is actually completely contradictory to what I just said, but this is a house that has started off being very contemporary. It was built a few years ago. Stark white walls, very straight lines everywhere. And the client wanted to turn this into basically a rustic cabin type of a feeling.
Right.
And so, leaving the bones more or less in place, we've done a lot of things to change it. And what is a big trend right now is taking reclaimed lumber, reclaimed, recycled materials and using them. So we've replaced all the baseboards with 120-year-old longleaf pine wood that we recycled from a cotton warehouse in Houston on the shipping channel.
That's awesome.
That it has so much character that you just cannot even find that in a Home Depot these days.
Or anywhere, really. And that's what I like about, you said you just contradict yourself, but I mean, you will customize.
Yeah,
you'll go either way.
Absolutely. This is what the client wants. And I have an affinity towards modern design, but if I do my job right, the client doesn't know that. I do whatever they want to have done.
Yeah, it's like a modern Texas Hill Country.
Country
you're seeing a lot of this, like at Cured, the restaurant downtown, where they're repurposing tobacco farm or tobacco farm, wood and stuff like that. And I think it's kind of the cutting edge of.
If we were in California, we'd have lots of furniture and lots of things being built out of wine barrels.
Right,
that's recycled a lot. Here we have shipping containers, railroad cars, old warehouses, and old barn wood.
That's awesome.
It's used quite a bit.
So if anyone wants to get a hold of Shawn Collard and have some of his expertise, you can text or call him at 210-313-2182. Again, that's 210-313-2182, or you can check him out at shawncollardconstruction.com. This has been Bobby and JJ Radio this week. Thank you guys for joining us. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
See you next week.